Hey guys, Dr. Clayton Roach here from Adjusting Attitudes, coming at you with the third video on capacity blockages. Now, if this is the first video you've watched, I definitely recommend you to go watch the first two because we touch on what I just called capacity blockages. And by definition, those are the things that are creating plateaus in your practice. Because I'm sure some of you might be stuck at 200 patients a week, 300, 100, 75. It doesn't really matter where you're at in your practice. There are certain capacity blockages that are appearing in your practice, and if you're not aware, you're not diligent at looking at these, or you're not aware that they exist, you're going to be hitting your head against the wall wondering why you're not seeing more patients. So the next two capacity blockages that we're going to talk about are very, very important. Now, the first four were marketing, philosophical differences, your front desk, and your technique. The next one we're going to talk about is going to be your procedures. Now, procedures can definitely play a role in creating capacity blockages in your practice or creating plateaus. Great offices are built on great procedures and a great philosophy, but definitely great procedures. If your procedures don't allow you to process a new patient that same day, if a new patient calls your practice and you say, you're able to see Dr. Roach in 2 weeks, we're going to book you in 2 weeks. If that person is in pain or wants to be seen right away, you're going to miss out on that new patient. So if I threw 30 new patients at you, would you be able to process those in, let's say, 2 to 3 days? 3 to 5 days? A week? 2 weeks? And if you can't process those new patients in a quick and an efficient period of time, the universe is simply not going to send you more new patients. So you have to have refined procedures that allow you to process these new patients, get them on care, committed, prepaid, pre-booked, and have the procedures in place at the end of their year or whatever amount of care that you prescribe to have them commit to wellness care. Because it's okay to start new patients, have new patients coming in and be able to process those, but do you have the systems in place to keep them long-term so that you're not constantly looking for new patients? So look at your procedures and see if there are any capacity blockages there. What is your recall procedure? Is that great? Do you have a bunch of people that have no future appointments that haven't been called? You have to look at those. So there's all kinds of procedures in your practices that will determine your level of growth and the number of patients you're seeing on a regular basis. So make sure you look at your procedures manual, make sure you're updating that, make sure you have one first of all, and make sure that your staff is on board, and make sure that the procedures you have now are congruent with the practice you have at that moment. Because too many times we'll start in practice, 10 years ago, we wrote procedures for the practice we had, which was very small, and we grew and we never changed the procedures so that they were congruent with the amount of patients we were seeing at the time. So things need to change in order to adapt to the business you're seeing at that time. The last, and I would say for me, probably the most important capacity blockage is your space. One of the things that I did was go from a closed room adjusting practice to a semi-open T-bar, and some of you might have a fully open adjusting area. And that to me was the biggest thing that I did to break through to another level, because I was stuck at a certain number of patients per week because I was literally stuck in rooms where patients were talking to me about all kinds of other things other than their health, not allowing me to move from one patient to another efficiently, and my staff was stuck at just booking me a certain number of patients per time slot because they knew I had to spend a certain amount of time in the rooms, not being able to get out. Okay, so one of the things that we did is we went to a semi-open environment where my two adjusting tables are just separated by a half-wall T-bar system, and that has allowed me to basically, I would say, double my practice and double the amount of patients I can see in the same hour that I was seeing with closed rooms. So we need, again, to revisit our space and revisit our office to make sure it's congruent to the amount of patients that we want to see in terms of our vision and the impact that we want to have. Because the space that we leased or the space that we created when we first started might not be that space that's going to bring you to that next level. Okay? One of the best coaches that I had told me one time, and that is just, you know, an analogy, is that the staff that brings you to 100 patients a week might not be the same staff that brings you to 200 patients a week. Because the staff that brings you to 100 patients a week, they can't see that you're able to see more patients. For them, they're maxed out. And then you get a new person on board that starts at 100 and they're all for growth. And they're saying, well, we can see more people than that. And they get to 200 and then they can't foresee you seeing more patients. So you might have to hire, fire, until you get the team that is congruent to the amount of patients you want to see and congruent to your vision. So that being said, the staff that you had to see 100 patients a week might not be the same staff that gets you to 200. And as an analogy, the space that you had in order to see 100 to 200 patients a week might not be the same space that will bring you to the 300, 400, 500, whatever you want to see in terms of visits per week. So here's what we've done. We've touched on the 6 capacity blockages as they appear in your practice. You need to be aware of these, because if you're not, you're going to be struggling to understand why you're not getting to that next level. Understanding these capacity blockages, understanding that they exist, and then doing the work to solve each and every capacity blockage will pay great dividends in getting you to that next level. Do the work, spend the time doing the work, and you will be fiberglass to the results you're going to be able to get and achieve in your practice. So I hope this was useful. Again, write some comments in the comments section and make sure that I'm on the right track, giving you the information that you need to grow to the next level. If you haven't checked out Adjusting Attitudes, a great tool to allow your patients to say yes to wellness care for life. Check it out, adjustingattitudes.com. If you're not part of our list and you just got onto this video through Facebook, make sure that you put your name in on the left where you see the opt-in box there, and we'll send you some great content every week. Take care and have fun.